The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. John. In those days, now a man was ill, Lazarus from Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Mary was the one who had anointed the Lord with perfumed oil and dried his feet with her hair. It was her brother Lazarus who was ill. So the sisters sent word to him, saying, "Master, the one you love is healed." When Jesus heard this, he said, "This illness is not to end in death, but is for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it." Now, Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that he was ill, he remained for 2 days in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to his disciples, "Let us go back to Judea." The disciples said to him, "Rabbi, the Jews were just trying to stone you, and you want to go back there?" Jesus answered, "Are there not 12 hours in a day? If one walks during the day, he does not stumble, because he sees the light of this world. But if one walks at night, he stumbles, because the light is not in him." He said this and then told them, "Our friend Lazarus is asleep, but I am going to awaken him." So the disciples said to him, "Master, if he is asleep, he will be saved." But Jesus was talking about his death, while they thought that he meant ordinary sleep. So then Jesus said to them clearly, "Lazarus has died, and I am glad for you that I was not there, that you may believe. Let us go to him." So Thomas, called Didymus, said to his fellow disciples, "Let us also go to die with him." When Jesus arrived, he found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, only about 2 miles away. And many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them about their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him. But Mary sat at home. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask to God, God will give you." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise." Martha said to him, "I know he will rise in the resurrection of the last day." Jesus told her, "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, even if he dies, will live. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this?" She said to him, "Yes, Lord. I have come to believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, the one who is coming into the world." When she had said this, she went and called her sister Mary secretly, saying, "The teacher is here and is asking for you." As soon as she heard this, she rose quickly and went to him. For Jesus had not come yet into the village, but was still where Martha had met him. So when the Jews who were with her in the house, comforting her, saw Mary get up quickly and go out, they followed her, presuming that she was going to the tomb to weep there. When Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet and said to him, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her weeping, he became perturbed and deeply troubled and said, "Where have you laid him?" They said to him, "Sir, come and see." And Jesus wept. So the Jews said, "See how he loved him." But some of them said, "Could not the one who opened the eyes of the blind man have done something so that this man would not have died?" So Jesus, perturbed again, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay across it. Jesus said, "Take away the stone." Martha and the dead man's sister said to him, "Lord, by now there will be a stench. He has been dead for 4 days." Jesus said to her, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone. And Jesus raised his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you for hearing me. I know that you always hear me, but because of the crowd here, I have said this, that they may believe that you sent me." And when he had said this, he cried out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out!" The dead man came out, tied hand and foot with burial bands, and his face was wrapped in a cloth. So Jesus said to them, "Untie him and let him go." Now, many of the Jews who had come to Mary and seen what he had done began to believe in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them that what Jesus had done. So the chief priest and the Pharisees convinced the Sanhedrin and said, "What are we going to do? This man is performing many signs. If we leave him alone, all will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our land and our nation." But one of them, Caiaphas, who was high priest that year, said to them, "You know nothing, nor do you consider that it is better for you that one man should die instead of the people, so that the whole nation may not perish." He did not say this on his own, but since he was high priest for that year, he prophesied that Jesus was going to die for the nation, and not only for the nation, but also to gather into one the dispersed children of God. So, from that day on, they planned to kill him. The Gospel of the Lord. Today's Gospel brings us into one of the most hard decisions that Jesus had to take in his life. Because what he was going to do, he didn't have to do just with healing someone, taking care of someone. But at the end of the Gospel, we heard the decision that this miracle brought Jesus to. The decision from the Pharisees to kill him, to put him on death, okay, kill him. Jesus knows that what he's going to do will cost his life. But he is not able to stay away from this miracle. He could have gone before and healed Lazarus, his friend, but he didn't. Because at that point he had to show how the love of God is greater than the death itself. But what I think is very beautiful, what I think that is particularly significant, for me at least, is that before going to the tomb and before rising Lazarus, he goes to Martha and Mary, Lazarus' sisters, who were Jesus' friends. We know from the Gospel that sometimes Jesus used to go to Bethany and stay in Lazarus and Mary's and Martha's house. Maybe they were friends of his family, maybe they knew from some years. We don't know that, but we know that they were friends. And at this point, before choosing to rise Lazarus, he needs to be in the presence with his friends. Before I faced vocational discernment in the seminary, it was at the last year, my spiritual father in the seminary gave me this advice. Before going to the rector and saying your choice, whether you're becoming a priest or not, take some time and go to your friends and ask them whether, in their opinion, you should or you shouldn't become a priest. And that was one of the greatest steps that I made in order to decide, in order to choose whether to become a priest or not. Because I had the opportunity to face my life, to look at my life from another point of view. And I had the strength from their words to take this decision. Every one of us, at some point in his life, or in her life, will need a friend to be with in a strong decision. And nowadays, when I'm facing some hard times in our life, or when I have some hard decision to take, I usually go to my friends and ask for their opinion. Then it will be me, the one who will take the decision. But we know that sometimes we need friends to take the strength from in order to take the decision. And that's the case of Jesus, who is going to resurrect Lazarus, but he knows that this decision will cost his life. And so before doing that, he goes to Martha and Mary and take the strength from them somehow. Because the strength comes from an objection. If you had been here, my brother now would be alive. Have you seen Of Man and of Gods, movie of 2010 about the monks in Tirne? No, so I don't quote it. But have you seen Adolescence? Yeah. Netflix series? Some of you? Yes. Who has? 2 of you? Just 2 of you? Haven't you? Everyone is speaking about adolescence in the social networks and the web. Haven't you? But you know what we're talking about? Okay. I'll try not to spoil anything, but I think that somehow this series has something to do with one of the worst nightmares we could live in our life, which is to find ourselves without anyone to share our fears, to share our anxiety, to share our darkness. At the very beginning of the series, so I don't spoil anything, the series opens, the first episode opens with the police entering someone's house, the family house, and arresting a young guy, he's 13 years old, who is accused to be a murderer, to have killed a young girl, his classmate, and they bring him to the police station. So at the very beginning of this series, there is something very strong that happens. And without knowing whether he is guilty or innocent, at the beginning of the series, we'll know at the end, but that's not the point of the series. We are introduced in a weather of aloneness. I don't know if aloneness is an English word. Loneliness, thank you very much. Of loneliness, in which this guy has grown, in which this family lives. Because the father is a very great father. At the end of the series, but I'm not spoiling anything, we know that he's working very hard from 7 in the morning to 8 in the evening to give his family whatever they need, to give his son everything that he needs, the smartphone, the computer, his own little room, and everything that they need. And he has this deep question: am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right choices? I didn't want to be like my father, who used to beat me with his belt. I want to be a better father. But are my choices leading me and my family where they can be happy, or somewhere else? The weather in which this series is built is a weather of loneliness. 2 generations, adultness and teenagers, adolescents, indeed, who can see each other, but they are not able to watch each other. Who can see what they are doing, but they don't understand. And there is this beautiful scene in which the policeman meets his son, who is a schoolmate of Jamie, the guy who had been arrested. He is older, but they're in the same school. And he tried to tell his father what the comments on Instagram mean, because the father can read them, but he doesn't understand them. You know that there is this culture, the incel culture, that in the Anglo-Saxon countries is very strong, is very popular, and this is based on this problem, that this guy, Jamie, had been bullied. No? What's wrong?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Had been bullied by this girl, and felt himself with nobody to share his fears. He is a guy who is alone, deeply alone. Jesus knows in this gospel that he has to take a strong decision, and the only way to be able to take this decision is not to be alone, like Jamie. So he goes to Mary and Martha and decide to share his fears, to share his pain for the death of Lazarus with those who are the closest friend, with his disciples who were told about what was going on, and with Lazarus' sisters. Having a friend who walks with you even in the darkest times is one of the most marvelous things that can happen in your life. What today's gospel is saying is that we need someone to walk with. Jesus says, aren't 12 the hours of the day? If you walk in the light, you'll be able to make short steps. You won't fall. But if you walk in nighttime, you won't see the obstacles that you'll find until it's too late. And we know that Jesus himself is this light. John, whose gospel we are reading, begins his gospel says, the light is came on earth. But many didn't appreciate it. And so they turned away. But to those who accepted this light, who welcomed this light, well, they became children of God. So Jesus himself is this light. And he's saying, if you want to walk my path, I'm not saving you from death. I'm saving you through death. Because he himself is going through death. On the true Friday, we are going to celebrate the cross, the mystery of the cross. Jesus who got killed. The mystery of God who is dying. And it's not fair, because he knows that the only way to enter in life is to be able to love even those who are killing you. That's strong, but that's what he shows us. And he asks his friend Lazarus to be part of this plan, because Lazarus is going to die again, twice. He died the first time before being resurrected, and then he died again after the resurrection. But he's his friend. And he can accept it. Maybe they talked about that. We don't know. But Jesus is asking something very, very difficult to his friend Lazarus. To come back to life and be ready to die again. Because he's not alive right now, Lazarus. So someday he died again. But accepting that, Lazarus became part of this plan, on which God is showing us that the only way to face death is through love. Love which is greater than death itself. That will not allow us, that will not avoid us to pass through the death, but will give us enough reason to live. God is not asking us to die for him. God is asking us to live for him. That's a complete difference. God will never ask us to die for something, for an idea, for a people, for a nation. God is only asking us to live. And the only way to really live is to love. What Jesus does. I'm able to face my death because I'm not alone. Because I know that I have friends to live with. To love. Maybe today, through these words, God is asking us to take some decision. To choose something that will bring us out from our tomb. From the tomb of loneliness. From the tomb of sins. From the tomb of that honor that keeps us away from our friends, from those we are living with. Or maybe he's asking us to call someone's name, like he did with Lazarus. Someone that we know that only needs someone to call his name. Some of our friends who are alone, who don't feel light in his life, who are not able to face the big problems, the big issues of life, just because they are alone. Maybe we can be like Jesus today and call someone's name. Or to be like Lazarus, to listen our name which is called by someone. May the Lord of life accompany us through this journey.